very impressed with his proactivity, his versatility coming into support. Very happy with this pickup for the miners, but you're probably going to need some jungle assistance maybe to get that one locked down, maybe pull some dives through, and then Hugato has got to be a part of that. And that comes down to one of the biggest problems that I think miners have had is Hugato. He's got to step forward, he's got to log on, he's got to get stuck in on the Vi of all champions. You can't just be taking Dragon on the other side of the map from a fight anymore. You've got to be getting involved.
Yeah, Hugado needs to exit sandbox mode here and actually getting some
Yeah,
PvP. And hey, if you pick a Vi as well, I want to see early ganks. Vi has some great
yeah.
ganks starting right away at level 2, and J4 as well does. So I feel like it might be a bit of a race for these junglers to get that early action off, especially for Wiz. Because if we think back to Wiz in Split 1 of this year, he was that crazy aggressive jungler who'd go in, on that Nidalee,
Mm.
contest you, 1v2, 1v3, steal away your buff. That hasn't been the case in Split 2. He's been a lot more measured in how he's playing the game. But when you pick a champion like J4, you want to go ham right away, right from the get-go, get that pressure down. So we'll have to track both these junglers in the early game. I'll be incredibly disappointed if we don't see some early ganks from both sides.
We'll keep an eye on that one as we come through it here. Jungler starting on opposing red buffs on either side right there. And we'll see where stage if he wants to go for an early gank. Meanwhile, J4 heading up towards Doran. And Parang can get it done on his own. Parang is not one to struggle in the lane matchups, but with Wiz in his pocket as well, in a matchup we already expect him to potentially win,
Trajan.
Doran could be in for a struggle. The man's got no flash.
Trajan, Wiz isn't
What?
going top. Look where he went.
Oh? Okay. Bamboozled.
I love
Okay,
it.
well, they did see Hugato up there, so they've got the vision, and he's gonna get away clean.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I wanted to see from the J4 pick, right? It's funny too, because of the way he pathed, he hopped over the wall, so there was no vision catching him here. He didn't go through that tri-bush whatsoever. Oh,
Yeah,
now
they
they see
have
each
the
other.
level 2 engage from drop, but look at the healing coming back through the zoom. He's doing a fair bit of work, and Wiz is in the area. Miners with a ward in the river, and Hugato's now
Oh,
gonna get jumped onto, and House has already rotated over. Flash down for the Miners jungle. Wiz, will he take the Gromp as well? He's gonna stick around to finish that one off. Hugato, you can't contest it anymore. Wiz all over him so far.
I absolutely love it. And the fact that Wiz kind of knew he was coming just went down to that tri-bush as well. They're continuing the fight here. And remember, Hugado already burnt Flash, is a level down. Getting zoned
Yeah.
out. Hugado, he didn't even get the wolves. His bot side completely denied.
This is the moment for Agata where you just have to take the L. You've just got to press recall because Wiz, you could see him just waiting. It's like, just come back in. I'm just going to take your wolves regardless if you come back for another one. He's going to get them now and head back to finish off his own. He's just taken the big one, in fact, left the little one. Sugato off to the top side. He doesn't want any part of that anymore.
Oh my goodness, and perfectly timed to get to Scuttle just as it spawns as well. Wiz being the genius that we had come to love
Yeah.
and honestly missed a little bit here in the second split. And Kaboom, they're off to an incredible start here while all that action was happening. Look at the lanes as well. House roams up, is only down 3CS, pardon me, which is next to nothing here. Topside, Parang is winning that 1v1, and that Sejuani was supposed to be Doran's answer into the Ornn here. Bot side duds on this Zeri, winning out in CS as well, winning out in terms of push and pressure. So Kaboom, every single lane is in a great state and no one can help Hugado.
Exactly, this is what you said, right? Nameplates on, everything just starts to fall apart. We like what Miners have drafted for themselves, and when we get around to those skirmishes and those fights, they do still have a great singular direction they can follow. But right now, Kaboom are showing their class right now. They have actually got
Oh.
aggressive right now. Sive's landed the dredge line drop, trying to step back and damage them down. We are having slight internet issues right here, unfortunately, but Drop does seem to have taken the worst of that trade still. Duds over half.
Yeah, well, good thing for Drop is Drop didn't actually have to burn any summoners here. It's one thing we kind of didn't note, but Drop is running
Mm.
Ghost Flash. Not common for most AD carries, but for Sivir, we touched on her short range. She gets a lot of movement speed already from her ult, from her passive. Ghost just makes it such that basically she can run anybody down. And unless you've got some sort of hard CC terrain CC, like the Cataclysm from Wiz here, Drop is going to be able to kite out a lot of these fights very effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. We have started to see the ghost coming into play on the Zeres as well, but in this game, I think the cleanse makes a lot of sense with the Vi, with the Sejuani, with the Vex. You just got to give yourself some other way to survive that one, as now Drop is still pretty low, but going to be able to farm it this wave under tower. But Wiz has returned to the area. He's given the game away using that using the Scryer's Bloom, going to spot on the ward as well, and Hugato. Maybe they can find some revenge on him here.
I don't know about this one, Chief. I mean, Drop's there, Hugato's there, Sive's there, and you can see they're still scared to go in. Hugato is still a level down, and even worse is the fact that House still has Prio in that mid lane. We're seeing House constantly threaten to move in, and Annie, without that level 6 right now, is kind of hesitant to even so much as walk out of that lane here. If you get hit by a charm, that's half your health gone.
Yeah, see, they stepping up, but Drop is back in base. Hugata maybe looking to contest the Grump. How's though still here, and now Annie has returned to get that push in mid lane. He's had hit level 6 right now, but the play's already done. Duds with the plate, Wiz with the Grump. It's all once again snowballing further into Kaboom's favor. 1,000 gold up here at the 6 minute mark.
Yeah, now to give us a break here, Trajan, we cut to the top lane, the pastoral
Yeah.
greens of the top lane, where you've got two tanks just slapping each other. Nothing happening much up there. Parang again up CS, 10 CS has slowly grown that particular lead here. And I do want to highlight something about this top lane matchup. It's going to get worse for Doran. Right now, neither side has really recalled, but Ornn can build items in lane. And so for Doran, it's a lot about trying to find the appropriate times to base here in order to buy items and keep up with Parang. If not, you're going to lose out. And we do see Hugato now in this top side. Hugato will likely have to come up to relieve some of this pressure, or else Doran's just going to fall further and further behind, have to miss a wave or maybe even a wave and a half in order to go back buy items.
Yeah, it really feels like the team play is where miners are going to have to try and bring this one back. With every lane dropping back, apart from Annie. Annie is using the time that House has spent roaming to get a little bit of a CS lead, but top and bot really going against them. And Wiz is basically doubled the CS of Yugata by hanging out in his bottom jungle half of the game so far. So it's going to have to be this single dive composition for miners coming through to make this one work. The synergy has got to be on point here, and it's
Mhm.
not been the best going through this season. So maybe, they've got the playoffs mindset and they can all get together. Maybe Drop can bring them all together here in this first game of the playoffs, but it's a tough situation for now, but not one we didn't expect.
Yeah, I think 4x4 had an amazing stat that he posted on Twitter about Annie here
Mm.
making playoffs 4 times and has a combined playoff score of 0 and 12. So that's a little
Ooh,
bit worrying, when
12?
you're talking about not
Ooh.
having a dive buddy to go along right now. Hugato's so far behind. Annie diving in alone, likely to die here, even on this Vex that we had talked up so much. She's great for cleanup, she's great for bursts, but it's hard for her to 100 to 0 on her own unless she's incredibly fed here. So for Netshoes Miners, big questions on how they're looking to play this. Which lane are you looking for to really play through this? And I don't expect to see them really kick off any action right now until Hugato hits level 6, because I think they recognize that, hey, we're down in every lane. We don't win equal number fights.
Yeah, and that does feel so rough for Annie, right? Like, the guy has won MVP 6 times just in this split. He's carried so many games for
Mm-hmm.
miners almost on his own. The Azirs, the Vexes, they've looked so good for him, but it's just not been enough. And this is, as we see, a continuing spree. The playoffs just don't work out for him. And right now, he's up against Howls, the other person who has six
Yep.
MVPs in the mid lane, the other most consistently valuable mid laner for his team. It's so tough for him. Let's hope that he can get at least that first win, at least break the curse here today. But I think it's going to take some MVP level performances to get that over the line.
Yeah, Chidin, I love that you bring that up about How's, matching Annie in terms of MVP. Because when we were talking about Netshoes Miners right now, we said that this is a team that's really been struggling in every lane except the mid lane here, with the occasional pop-off performance from Cello in the bot side. But now that you've brought Drop back in, it really feels like a lot of the weight is going to be on Annie. Holy crap, that's closer than I wanted to see.
Oh, Hugato, he's not going to get away for free this time. Now the ults come
Oh,
through first. Blood instantly for Duds, and Miners are running for the hills.
oh.
Sive not going to get a chance to escape. Drops made it back to the tower. But, we love the way that Hugato sneaks away the dragons. The timing just wasn't quite right here.
I oh okay, I was like, are they actually gonna go for this? Wiz wanting to
Okay.
interrupt this. Typical Wiz. I love this is the Wiz from Split One that I really really do miss, and I'm glad to see them back. Herald being dropped, I feel like is a little bit early. I don't think they can actually get the entire turret. C-Van drop will probably get back in time, but they'll get it. Probably 3 plates off this particular push. Now, Trajan, the dragon take. I was a
Hmm.
little bit worried for Hugado because they took so long to take it. And I want to highlight that it dropped to about
Yeah.
40 health for a second there. If the javelin, if the spear had landed, Wiz could have taken it without smite. That's
Yeah.
how close it came down to. And sure, it's a good idea to sneak it, but when your risks are that high, no, no. If you're gonna lose people like that, especially on the back end of it too for a dragon, not worth it. Yes, they buffed dragons. We are on patch 12.14, but losing those two members and giving the kills over to Hows and Duds is going to be a problem because those are the two carry positions which miners want to play from. They're mid and AD carry. If they're both down, then again, we ask the question, where are you going to play through, even when you're level 6 on the Vi, if all your lanes are losing?
Exactly, where the options a little slim for the miners potentially going into the mid game, and Dud's the benefactor of so much gold off the back of that play. Got the first blood, got the tower plates, and the Zeri, who is supposed to be held down by the
Yeah.
Sivir pick, is now up in CS, up in gold. Very comfortable for Duds. He's got double buffs even to make those trades just sting a little bit
Jeez.
better. So Duds is, we, as you said, we were a bit harsh on him. We're a bit down on him right now, but he is being given the tools to become a carry in his own right. Did have a great last week and should be set up for success in this game at least. As House has just TP down to bot lane, but maybe it's the biggest brave
Oh,
play of all time. He's going to be ready for
mate.
the counter gang. How can you predict that? House finds the kill onto Sive. Uh, is he telling the future? Is he living 10 seconds ahead of all of us? How did he know?
Well, we're going to find out based on how House is going to play this year. He knows that, hey, the vision got cleared up there. There are people there, but, oh, great play. Okay, yes, he's prophetic. House,
Yes.
psychic confirmed. Wiz?
Wiz is coming through. Oh, forces the flash with the charm, and Zoomies will not get them in range. But so he drops the TP to that tower, seemingly just for no reason, and then Sive just goes in for the 2v2, and House is right there. Did they just call? I really think Sive is going to hook me right now, and House TPs to support it. Asugato maybe looking to punish House for sticking around. Does have the
Yeah.
cease and desist, and he's TP'd in. Does have the ult flashes being burned. He does get charm, not quite under tower though. Will
Oh.
Annie go for this if he gets the combo? Doesn't find the shadow surge.
Doran?
House maybe gets away. Get one in here, one by one. Everyone's going to have a crack at
House
the
cancelled
win
recall?
in mid lane. He's cancelled the recall. They've got the wave coming in. Durant with the glacial prison with the ignite. House with no flash, no ult.
Oh,
They miss the ult.
House!
They get the charm right there. Annie's looking for it. Does find the Q. And there is the kill. Wiz though locks Durant in the cage between the two towers. He's not getting hit by the towers. He's going to find the stun. Maybe Annie, if he has the fear, can get his top lane
Oh,
out.
he
He cancels it. Can they find the kill? They're going to go for it. They do get a bit more damage, but it's not going to be more than that. The miners make it work eventually onto House.
What were the odds there, Trajan, that the Cataclysm doesn't lock him in turret range?
Yeah.
That was so well played from Doran to just kind of just sit off on the edge. And hey, when you're a tank, J4 has problems dealing with you in that 1v1. So Doran was just straight chilling until Annie shows up there. And then Wiz just kind of forced out. And that was my concern when I saw this Vex pick up and I saw the Ari being picked into it here.
Yeah.
Same thing with the J4, right? All these mobility spells, all these engages, they don't work. And suddenly the engage just gives Annie more damage to pump out onto you. And now Annie's got that one kill as well. Got to shove that wave into that turret against House here. That's the lane that Miners can now play through. Look for Annie. Throw resources in there. Hugado can come in. Doran can come in. I want to see Sive up into that mid lane as well, looking to lock down this Ari.
100%. Mythic Online, get behind your MVP mid laner in Annie Miners and see what they can do for you. We do have the Kraken Slayer done for drop as well, but on Kabum's side, they've got Mythics completed all across those important members. Double Sunfire in the top lane. Very tough to burn through this front line of Kabum Miners. If they're diving in, they're going to have to get onto those very important targets because otherwise they've got some meaty boys trying to back them up.
Yeah, we already saw. I mean, we were harping on Doran's tankiness, but Wiz as well, very comfortable. Hugado finally gets his first blue buff of the game here. I was actually wondering if Wiz was going to stop him on the Gromp, but I think they realized that, hey, maybe we don't do this. The Kraken Slayer damage spike is much better than the Immortal Shield Bow damage spike here. So Sivir gonna actually start to hurt a little bit if she can get the damage off. But Kabum never dissuaded. You know, they're still going for this dragon, and now Duds might be vulnerable to a Hugado gank.
Yeah, Wiz has started up that Dragon House rotating as well. Annie's back in the mid lane with ult on deck, and they've got the Mythics to fight from the side of Miners, but will they choose to go for it? Hugato's still waiting. Hasn't dropped the Cease and Desist just yet. Out goes the Dragon. Wiz has picked it up before the Miners can find a good angle in. That's how you take the Dragon when the enemies are around.
Yeah, really, really well played. And for all that Miners were thinking of, hey, let's get this Zeri, let's get this Yumi here, they kind of forgot about the dragon. There is an objective on the map here, guys. And granted, it's only the first dragon for Kabum, so it's not that big a deal. It is, however, going to be a mountain map here, Trajan. And I want to highlight that not because of the soul potentially, but just because of the importance of mobility now and the way these teams play out. Sivir doesn't have a dash. So those walls actually can mess up a Sivir a little bit. She can't get through them. Whereas for Zeri, those walls are going to be an advantage because you can now hop over more walls, cut off more fights here, and isolate targets. So I think Kabum going to be slightly happier with the additional terrain. And hey, if they actually get the soul as well, they'll be happy with that too because they've got two, as you mentioned, two tanky boys up front here who will benefit a ton from the additional heals and resistances.
Yeah, Ornn already with Ornn passive and potentially 3 mountains. Is that plus 18 or plus 27% armor and magic resist? It's a big old number either way. And Ornn, if he gets all these buffs, even the Sivir with the Kraken Slayer or no, is going to have so much trouble getting through that front line for Parang. We haven't seen him much on the tanks before, as you mentioned, but so far he's been playing out this top matchup very well. And when the team fights come around, I have a lot of confidence in Parang. The guy's team fighting has been pretty unmatched for several splits.
Yeah, in general, Parang is just hard to match. In general, like, on the
Yeah.
tier list, there's like maybe four top laners up there who are good, like particularly good, and Parang is towards Duds being a potential main carry for the team. Hold
Oh,
up.
they're looking
Right?
for another fight
Yes.
around the dragon, but Sive's dropped
Okay.
awfully low, and there goes Minus deep in trying to get the dive off, but they can't
Oh.
quite find Duds. The Zoomies are there, and Doran picks him up. Annie is deep into the backline as well, flashes away, but won't survive and drop, trying to work on Wiz. One more auto.
No!
It's not enough. Drop so close to picking up the Kabum jungler, but it's another win for the blue side.
Yeah, and that is despite Duds dropping fairly early in that fight here. It's funny, Trajan. I was just talking about how Duds they're throwing a lot of resources with this composition into the bot lane. And we said before, Kabum is not a team that likes to generally play through the bot lane. They play through the top half of the map. Parang, House being such massive carries, Wiz being such a strong early game jungler here that, Duds doesn't get pop off. And now they've given Duds the resources. He'll get the masterwork items. And we see Duds here. Unfortunately, this is why we peg Duds as a problem. Because sure, he goes in and look at they just kind of focus him down very, very quickly. Doran throws in those resources. Hugato went in right away and Duds goes down. And Duds wasn't quite able to reward the resources they poured into him. Now, they still do win. Drop
Yeah.
doesn't quite manage to carry the fight. But I would argue, and I would love to see the damage numbers, because I think Drop actually still out damaged Duds.
Yeah, I think Duds just got really bully circled in, and we saw Miners at least achieve what their goal for their comp is. Now, as you say, yeah, House is still there as a carry, and Duds, they are putting a lot of resources into him, but House now 3-1-3 on the Ari, and is going to be very scary going into this mid game. Skuro as well with the Yumi empowering so many members of Kabum. So the Miners, if they can get a fight where they actually have Sive at the start of it, he doesn't get caught out to begin, maybe we can see a bit more success coming out of this roster. As we pan up, we see House taking turrets off the map. 2 down for Kabum, none for the Miners right now, and it's only extending their gold lead. It's over 6,000 here at the 18-minute mark, and this mid lane's probably not long for this world either.
Miners looking to collapse here. They've got multiple flank positions here.
Wiz is going in. They've got potentially good
They're
fight.
under
Annie
turret.
on the side. But look for Duds. They're going to get the perfect engage onto him. If we can find him, there he goes down to kick the fight off. Now, can they win this one? Hugato has fallen. The jungler as well. Sive's gone down. Doran on the backside looking for Wiz, but can't find the Q. There it is, finally, with the last swish off that flail. But How's still alive. How did that shadow
The
just
charm!
get past him? And a flash charm to Annie. How's stamping the dominance onto his opposite number as Drop gets knocked up by Parang. And Kabum, even losing Duds completely from the start, they still win the fight. They're going to get more charges off.
Yeah, and they're just pushing in here. That's 3 charges Herald is going to get here. Mid all the way right into the inhibitor turret. And frankly, I think if you're Netshoes, let this turret fall. You're at 19 minutes here. At least you get minions funneled in instead Sive. Yeah, he's not going to be able to clear this in time. So that's an open inhib for the Miners right now here, Trajan. We're just talking about, Kabum. Okay, they've got a good early game. Drop still got Sivir. You can skill up. No, you can't skill up when they're being nailed this hard right now. 9,000 gold difference between these two teams, and that's before any Baron has been taken.
No, and something that we talked about in preparation for this one is the fact that Kabum, well, hang on a second, he wants to maybe look for Doran right here, doesn't get the flag and drag through, does have Yumi there and How's here to back him up, Duds on the side, still clearing the wave, Miners are going to get pushed back into the jungle, but he nails onto How's. Do they have the CC to finish him off? Ugasu's looking for it, walks straight into a charm, and Shadow Surge does not connect to anybody. Now Duds has come back around, Parang stampeding over them with the call of the Forge God. Annie has found his way onto How's. Can he find that Ari?
No,
But Parang's there to cover. Kabum are winning on every frontier. Triple for Duds.
and you didn't win a 5v4 under your turret as miners. That was as good a setup as you could hope for. And you go into the jungle to contest? It doesn't really make sense. That's a desperation play for miners here, Trajan. And I feel like this fight kind of just cements their defeat this game. I think this is the time where if you're miners, you're kind of thinking, okay, this one's kind of a wrap. What do we do next game? How did we end up in this situation, and how do we stop it from happening again?
Yeah, this really went out of control very quickly for the miners. The point I wanted to bring up before that fight was the fact that Kabum are, in fact, the fastest team on average game time in
Mhm.
the league in CBLOL, and miners are the slowest, I believe. You know, we have such a big
Yeah.
disparity in how long it takes these teams to close the games out, and we wondered when we were thinking and preparing for this if the miners would be able to slow Kabum down and drag the game out to where they seem to have more success. The answer so far is no. And the miners, they're not trying to store the game out, right? They're looking for fights over and over and over again. They have the comp to try and find picks, and even when they get those perfect engages, it's just not working out.
Yeah, and I think the ending of that fight as well is kind of the death knell for me. The fact that Annie couldn't actually handle House anymore in the 1v1 when House already took a lot of that upfront damage. If Annie can't carry that, where are you looking to clean up these fights? They find House yet
Oh,
again.
they go for him again. They got everything onto
Okay,
him this time. That is the
but
perfect engagement. The four-man
doesn't matter.
double lockup into the
Holy.
Cataclysm. They get minced inside the walls of stone. Oh my goodness, miners, absolutely terrifying for them, and the Baron laid bare for Kabum.
Okay, I know that Duds picked up a multi-kill on that. Let's be honest, Duds was completely unnecessary on that. Just
He happened
Parang,
to be
Wiz, and
there.
Skuro alone were already enough to destroy the miners in that particular fight there. That's how far ahead they are. And I love the fact that for Kabum here, it doesn't matter that they picked a composition that should have played around the bot side. It's still about this top half of the map. It's still about Parang, Wiz, and House.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's, you know, they found that perfect fight where the miners picked off Duds, they still lost it. Now they found the perfect fight where they pick off House, they still lost it. In even worse a fashion, that double lockup into Cataclysm was
Oh,
stunning
jeez.
for Kabum. This topside, as you say, is just incredible, and they are just, they've got the Baron now on their favor. They're something like 15k or 14k ahead of the miners, and I think you're right, RMC. I think it is time to go next.
Yeah, they still got Baron too for 2.5 minutes straight. So they just literally need to walk this in, kind of force it. They're going with the 4-1 right now. House on the bot side, no teleport available. But frankly, with the Spirit Rush and with how deep in you're going to be, you don't need it.
Yeah, the miners, you can tell they just want to try again. They're all clumped up. They're going to look for the engage again. And I guess they just don't know what else they can do. They feel like they've
Yeah.
drafted with this one purpose in mind, and they're trying to do it. And they've found decent instances of it. But when you're this far behind against Ornn and J4 and House on the Ari, it's just been too much for them today. Now we've got the waves crashing in mid and bot lane. Miners looks like they're going to make their last stand by the Nexus Towers.
Yeah, at least you've got two turrets there, right? If one turret wouldn't cut it, we go two. The problem is your
Maybe.
gold lead has doubled since that point, right? When they did the first dive, it was only about a 4 or 5k gold lead here, and you need to go now. You can't wait any longer if
Yep.
you're miners.
You need that second tower, guys. It's going to fall down.
It's
There comes
gone.
the Zeri. Didn't find the slow Huganto. Looking for the cease and desist. Looking for the glacial prison. Duds on the side. They've got to find something. But
Wiz
Wiz
who pulls
is the
it.
one who calls the trigger. Out goes the glacial prison only onto Pirano. Duds over the Nexus and takes down. Drop the carry from miners falling so quickly. And he flies over, gets on top of House, but doesn't find the Mistral
Oh,
Bolt. And the
House
Ari will
died.
step away. Even after getting stunned, Doran is the one to fall. No Kabum members hit the grey screen. And they will sew this game up inside of 24 minutes.